Incredible journey, single dad discovers life-changing truths after rescuing twin girls from cruel streets. The sun dipped low, casting a warm glow over the bustling sidewalks of their blue-collar suburb in Chicago. Tom, a devoted single dad in his late 30s, rubbed his tired eyes as he returned from another grueling shift at the factory. His daughter, Sophie, a vibrant teenager, bounced around their modest apartment filled with laughter, take-out boxes, and her colorful band posters. That evening, the air crackled with excitement as they shared a meal of greasy pizza, the kind that reminded Tom of simpler, carefree days. It was these moments that filled him with purpose. Every sacrifice was worth the happy smirk on Sophie's face, but little did Tom know that the night was about to change everything. Just a few blocks from home, the distant sounds of laughter faded into an eerie quiet as he turned the corner. He stopped dead in his tracks as he noticed two young twin girls standing alone, tears streaming down their cheeks. Panic gripped Tom's heart. How could they be out here, lost in a neighborhood known for its dangers? Overcoming his fear, he rushed over, his protective instinct kicking in like a roaring engine. "Hey, sweethearts, what's wrong?" he asked gently, kneeling to their level. Their big, teary eyes looked up at him, searching for safety. "We can't find our mom," one of them wailed, clutching her sister's hand. The anguish in their small voices tugged at Tom's heartstrings. He felt the warmth of determination blossom in his chest. "I'll help you, I promise." After leading them to safety, an onlooker snapped a photo of Tom comforting the girls, and in an instant, the tiny act of kindness mushroomed into a sensational headline that took over the local news. Reporters swarmed him like moths to a flame, thrusting a video camera into his face as they labeled him a hero. But as the lights flashed and microphones hovered, Tom's focus remained on one single thought: finding the girls' family. Fame wasn't his game, safety was. As the media buzz swirled around him, whispers from the neighborhood echoed in Tom's ears. Some called him a saint, others accused him of wanting the limelight. The weight of their judgment pressed heavily on his shoulders. Did they think his heart was wired for attention? With Sophie by his side, he wrestled with questions about family, loyalty, and love in their humble apartment that suddenly felt too small and too charged with emotion. "You did the right thing, Dad," Sophie whispered late into the night, her eyes sparkling with admiration. But Tom's mind drifted. Would he risk everything he'd built for Sophie if it meant saving these girls? The answer hung between them like an unspoken promise. Days turned into tense weeks. When Tom finally faced the girl's father, he was met with anger and desperation, a man burdened by his own demons. The confrontation ignited a storm of emotions within Tom. Anger washed over him, curling his fingers into fists, but softness cracked through as he saw the pain of another father struggling to stay afloat. Just when Tom thought they could navigate through the storm, a devastating secret shattered everything, something that changed the very foundation of both families. This emotional wreckage left him questioning everything he thought he knew about sacrifice and what it truly meant to be a father. Hope flickered on the edge of despair, but as he stared into the eyes of the twin girls, one thing became clear: this was only the beginning of a journey, one that threatened to tear apart what he held dear. The air hung heavy with tension as Tom paced the tiny living room, his mind racing with thoughts of what he had just uncovered. The girl's father had revealed his secret in a moment of desperation, a history of mental illness that spiraled his life out of control, leaving the twins vulnerable in a world they didn't understand. Tom's heart ached for the girls, but he also felt a twang of anger for their father. How could he let this happen? Sophie glanced over at her dad, concern etched on her face. "Are we really going to help them, Dad?" Her voice was small, unsure. "I mean, what if he is too far gone?" Those words felt like knives piercing through Tom's heart. He wanted nothing more than to assure her that everything would be all right, but the gravity of the situation hung like a fog in the room. "Sophie, sometimes people need more help than we can give. But that doesn't mean we should stop trying." He caught a glimpse of Sophie biting her lip, contemplating the weight of their choice. He understood her hesitation. They were already a family of two navigating the trials of life together, and here he was, considering adding more chaos into the mix. Days passed, yet Tom couldn't shake the image of the twins from his mind. Their big, hopeful eyes begged for safety, a sanctuary that was currently in shambles. He thought about how much he valued family and how much he was willing to fight for it. As he set out to find a social worker, he realized this was about more than just the twins. It was about facing fears and asking for help, no matter how daunting that looked. At a few blocks from his home, the social services office loomed over him like a fortress. It was intimidating, but he stepped inside, the ambient chatter of parents and children resonating through the hall. The smell of worn-out carpet assaulted his senses as he approached the desk. Each step felt like another weight on his shoulders. "Excuse me," he uttered hesitantly, his voice cracking under the pressure of anxiety. "I'm here about 2 girls. I think I might know where they are." The social worker, a gentle-looking woman with kind eyes, reached for a pen and notepad. "Can you tell me more about them?" Her calm demeanor eased some of the tension twisting Tom's stomach. Tom launched into the details, the words pouring from his heart as he described the twins and their father's struggle. The social worker listened intently, nodding occasionally, her expression thoughtful. "You're doing the right thing for them. We need to ensure they have a stable environment." Her validation sparked a flicker of hope. Tom continued to lay out his plan for how he could help, even though every fiber of his being felt unsteady. It wasn't just about bringing the twins home anymore, it was about creating a community where everyone looked out for one another. After a long discussion, they agreed on a plan to connect the girls with counseling and support systems. Tom walked out feeling lighter, yet reality was still heavy on his heart. He glanced at his phone, seeing a recent picture of Sophie laughing in the sunshine. That image reminded him of why he was fighting so hard. But as he approached home, a knot formed in his chest. What if things didn't turn out the way he wanted? What if he couldn't protect everyone? The questions loomed large in his mind, rippling through his determination like a stone cast into still water. When they settled into silence that evening, Sophie broached the topic again. "Dad, what if the dad of those girls, what if he can't change?" Tom turned to her, searching for the right words. "Sophie, not everyone has the strength to change. But that doesn't mean we shouldn't try to help them. Love is messy, and sometimes it's difficult, but it's always worth it." As she held his gaze, her expression shifted from uncertainty to one of shared resolve. Together, they were committing to something bigger than themselves, even if that commitment was fraught with heartbreak and challenge. But just as they settled into the comfort of their shared determination, a loud knock echoed through the apartment. The noise pierced the atmosphere, jolting both father and daughter. Who could it be? The uncertainty loomed, waiting to unravel the fragile stability they had just begun to build. Tom's heart raced as he reached for the door, nerves buzzing like static. He exchanged a quick glance with Sophie. Whatever awaited them on the other side could change everything. With a deep breath, he opened the door. Standing there was a tall man with graying hair and deep-set eyes. He looked weathered, as if life had taken a toll that left marks on every part of him. For a moment, Tom didn't recognize him, but then the man spoke, his voice hoarse yet shaky. I'm looking for my daughters." Tom's stomach dropped. How could he feel sympathy for this man when so much depended on him? "Are you their father?" he asked carefully, trying to gauge whether this was truly a moment for compassion or confrontation. The man nodded, desperation etched into every line on his face. "I need to see them. I've been trying to get better." Sophie peeked around her father, concern flooding her expression. This was not the same man they had heard about from his words, the one who had let his girls down. This man looked vulnerable, human. Tom hesitated. Could he trust him? "Why should I let you see them?" Tom challenged, his voice firm, but a part of him wanted to dig deeper. Perhaps that was the problem, people often only saw the surface of reality. "I am trying. I swear," the father stammered, rubbing his hands together like he was searching for warmth. "I just came from therapy. I'm working through it. I was so caught up in my own head, but I realize now they need me." Tom's heart twisted. He saw a glimpse of strength inside the fragile man, a man who was reaching out, clawing back from the edge. Yet it wasn't just about him, it was about the girls. "You understand that you've scared them, right?" Tom asked, his voice trembling with emotion. "What makes this time different?" Silence stretched painfully between them. The man looked down, his shoulders slumping. "I don't expect you to just hand them over. I understand that trust is earned." Tom studied him. Was this real? Or was it just another facade, a repeat of the past? At that moment, Sophie stepped forward. "Dad, maybe he just needs a chance." "No, Sophie," Tom replied, the anger rising inside him. "You don't know, but I do." She countered, her voice shaking. "I see the pain in his eyes. Just like the twins." Tom felt the weight of her words. He had always tried to shield Sophie, but maybe this was a lesson he needed to learn too. "Let's take it slow," Tom said, his voice softening. "We can't rush anything. Your daughters are scared." "I want to force my way back in," the father replied, looking up with pleading eyes. "I just want to be there when they're ready." Tom's heart sank again. So much uncertainty hovered around them, yet there was an inkling of hope. Perhaps this man could change. But hope was a precarious thing. "All right," he said slowly, cautiously. "We need to get you connected to the social worker. If you're serious about all this, you'll have to show you can handle it." Relief flickered in the father's eyes, but worry gripped Tom's chest. As they set off to meet the social worker, uncertainty-filled moments stretched longer than possible within the confines of that tiny car. Each mile felt like an emotional bridge getting built yet again, layer by layer, fragile but hopeful. What if this really was a new beginning? What if, in this twisted journey, not only the twins found safety, but a broken father found redemption too? The question persevered in Tom's mind, a bitter-sweet whisper that chased his thoughts. And then it hit him solidly, creating a fresh knot of anxiety in his chest. What if they weren't ready for it? As they pulled into the social services parking lot, Sophie turned to her dad with that familiar look, one of expectation mixed with fear. "Dad? What if he hurts them again?" Silence filled the air as he grasped for the right answer, grappling with realities he never imagined he'd have to confront. His mind raced with possibilities, but there was always one constant truth that lingered: love was messy, and sometimes it demanded more than he thought he could give. The moment hung heavy, waiting to unravel as the car doors swung open, exposing them to a new chapter, a ticking clock of choices and consequences. Would it be a leap of faith or another misstep? Tom stepped out of the car, his feet hitting the pavement with a thud that echoed his heartbeat. The social services building loomed before them, sterile and unwelcoming, a reminder of the countless decisions that had led them here. The air felt thick with anxiety, as if every breath they took carried the weight of uncertainty. That he glanced at Sophie, her small frame tense with worry. "We'll figure it out," he murmured, though doubt crept into his mind. Would they be able to protect the girls from their father again, just in case? The father stood beside them, his hands clenched into fists at his sides. He looked younger in this light, more hopeful, and yet, Tom couldn't shake the shadows of the past that hung over him. It wasn't just about trust, it was about doing the right thing for the girls, who had already been through so much. As they approached the entrance, Tom felt the chill of air conditioning hit him. Inside, stark fluorescent lights illuminated the waiting area, filled with low murmurs and rustling papers. A social worker, a woman with kind eyes and a clipboard, greeted them. "Hi there, I'm Rachel," she said, her voice soothing like a balm. "Let us get started, shall we?" As they sat down, Tom watched Rachel intently, searching for signs of her true intentions. He wanted to see security in her demeanor, something that reassured the knot in his stomach. Was she aware of the gravity of this moment? The father began to speak, his voice cracking as he introduced himself. I'm trying to change. I want to be there for my daughters. I miss them every day." Sophie's grip on Tom's hand tightened. She was still listening, still watching, still hopeful, and that made him both proud and afraid. Would they ever find a way to heal? Rachel nodded, taking notes. I understand this is a challenging situation for everyone involved. Trust can take time to rebuild. Time, Tom whispered, tasting the bitterness of it. He wanted time to agree with him, to side with hope and bravery, but he knew life didn't work that way. Nothing could erase the scars left behind. Can you tell me about your therapy? Rachel prompted, and the father launched into his story, sharing about the moments that had triggered his past mistakes, a long, emotional recount that felt both raw and polished, like a scar that still hurt but was healing. Tom focused on Sophie, studying her features as they registered empathy and concern. She wore a brave face, but he saw the stillness in her shoulders, the way they seemed to carry more than just her years. I just want to be a good dad, the father said, his voice full of yearning. I really do. Tom held his breath, waiting for the truth of those words to land. Were they real? Could he believe any part of what he was hearing? Fighting his instincts, he debated the weight of forgiveness. Suddenly, Sophie broke the silence, her soft voice cutting through the tension. You can't hurt them again. You have to prove it, not just to Dad, but to us. We need to know we can trust you. Her courage pierced through the uncertainty, and Tom's heart swelled with pride. She had taken a step toward confronting the truth, reminding him that love often required immense courage, even if it was scary. The father's eyes misted over. I understand. I swear I'll do everything to show you. I just want my girls back safe. A question lingered unspoken in the air, heavy with implications. What if the past was a friend, not a foe? What if they could embrace a new vision of family that encompassed pain and hope, woven together? Tom felt the weight of that possibility, but darker thoughts prowled at the edges of his mind. He could almost hear the whispers. What happens if trust isn't enough? As they delved deeper into conversation, the father's determination warmed the air around them, but doubt still clouded Tom's heart. He tried to block them out, fought against the tide of anger that surfaced. Every word they shared felt like a fragile thread, connecting them to a future yet unwritten. Just as Rachel proposed meeting the girls, Tom's heart raced again. This was it, the moment of choice, the moment that could alter everything. Are you ready for this? He asked the father, his voice heavy with weight. Before the man could answer, Tom looked at Sophie, who hadn't turned away from her father's gaze. She simply nodded, giving him a glimpse of light in a world of shadows, but in that very moment, a loud crash echoed through the building, shattering the fragile atmosphere. Tom's heart dropped. What now? The noise reverberated around them, and Tom exchanged worried glances with Sophie. The unknown loomed large, casting a shadow on their hope. What had they stepped into, and what waited just beyond the door? The moment the crash rang out, Tom's heart whipped into a frenzied race. He instinctively grabbed Sophie's hand, a protective instinct surging through him. Rachel's friendly demeanor shifted into concern. Stay here, she instructed, her voice steady despite glancing toward the source of the disturbance. Tom peered past her, trying to get a glimpse of what lay beyond the door. A jumbled clatter echoed again, punctuated by hurried footsteps. Was it a group of frantic social workers responding to an emergency? Or something worse? Stay close, he whispered to Sophie, who looked up at him, wide-eyed and frightened. The strength of her small hand in his grounded him momentarily, igniting a resolve to shield her from whatever chaos lay ahead. As voices started to rise in urgency, Tom felt an unmistakable sense of foreboding. Together, they pulled back, sinking into their chairs, eyes glued to Rachel. She had taken on a protective stance, her clipboard pressed tightly against her chest. I'll check it out, she decided, her tone still firm as she moved toward the doorway. Wait! Tom called out, but she was already moving, and before he could stand, the door swung wider, revealing a chaotic scene. A woman was being escorted in, her hair wild, her face flushed with tears. She was talking rapidly, her words a jumble of fear and desperation. Help her! Sophie cried, pulling at Tom's sleeve. She needs help. Tom's instincts told him to stay put. This was not how a safe place was supposed to feel. But Sophie's courage stirred something deeper in him. They couldn't be afraid if they wanted to change things. If they were serious about building a new future, now it had to start. Let us go. Hand in hand, they approached the unfolding scene. The frantic woman broke free from the grips of the staff and stumbled into the waiting area. Tom caught a glimpse of her scared eyes before they darted toward Sophie and him. I couldn't find them. She gasped, collapsing into a chair nearby. It became clear now, she was not just any visitor, she was a mother, distraught and disheveled. Tom shared another worried look with Sophie, unsure of what this meant. Who? Tom pressed gently, his voice dropping to a conspiratorial whisper as he stepped closer. He felt Sophie starting to tremble beside him. The twins they've disappeared. The woman sobbed, burying her face in her hands. I lost them. The anguish in her voice hit Tom like a punch to the gut. Memories of his own struggle to keep Sophie safe flashed through his mind. He felt his initial doubts about the father slip away, replaced by an urgent need to act, just as he had always promised himself he would. Didn't take long for Rachel to return, flanked by a stern-looking colleague. What is going on here? She asked, voice tight with professionalism as she assessed the scene. This woman she's lost her children, Tom spoke up, his heart racing. We need to help her. Before he could interpret Rachel's expression, another voice came from the back of the office, a deep, gravelly sound that made everyone freeze. You're not going anywhere until I find them. Tom's stomach sank as he turned toward the growing chaos in the hallway. A figure loomed, his posture menacing, and Tom recognized him immediately. It was the girl's father. What have you done? He growled with a fierce protectiveness that sent a shiver down Tom's spine. Is he here to help or hurt? Sophie whispered, her grip tightening around Tom's fingers. The weight of that question hung in the air, as uncertainty washed over them once more. Was this a moment when they would find the strength to confront the past together? Or did it signal the beginning of a greater storm? An unsettling tension crackled, and Tom was left grappling with the reality that everything they'd built so far was about to be put to the test. Everything hinged on the moments that followed, who would take action, and what choices would they all make now? The father's anger loomed over Tom like a storm cloud. He stepped forward, fists clenched and jaw set. Where are my kids? His voice dripped with desperation, and Tom could see how the man was fighting back tears. Just as Tom thought of taking a step back, Sophie squeezed his hand tighter. She seemed to sense the need for courage in that moment. We'll help, she declared, her small voice filled with fierce determination. Help? The father scoffed, disbelief tightening his features. What do you know about helping? You're just kids. Tom felt the sting of his words but didn't let it shake him. We can't sit around while someone's in trouble. You need to tell us what happened. The truth burst out of him, fueled by years of protecting Sophie. Rachel interrupted, taking charge like she had been trained to. We need to calm down. Right now, we have to focus on where the twins could be. Her authoritative tone kept the growing chaos manageable. We should search the building, Tom suggested, suddenly feeling like he had a mission. If they're lost, we can put out an alert. The playground, the bathrooms, they could be anywhere. Great idea, Rachel said, her eyes lighting up with possibility. We'll split up. I'll handle messaging staff, and you three can check the outside. Let us go. The father looked conflicted, torn between his role as protector and his initial anger. I'll come with you, he finally said, voice shaky. They need me. Together, the four of them took off, hearts pounding in unison. The air buzzed with urgency, lifting Tom's spirits despite the turmoil. They reached the entrance where the playground lay outside, an expanse of laughter and brightly colored equipment, but all he heard was silence. His heart sank deeper as he scanned the area. Over there. Sophie pointed, her voice a whisper of hope. A narrow alley separated the playground from neighboring offices. I think I saw them playing once. The father moved forward, muscles tense like a coiled spring. Stay close, Sophie, Tom said, urging her to stick by his side. As they stepped into the alley, shadows stretched across the ground like dark fingers. Twins! Can you hear us? The father shouted into the void. Silence consumed them, amplifying their fears. Tom couldn't ignore the rising knot of anxiety in his stomach. Maybe they ran to the other side, he suggested, voice barely breaking through the thick tension, not willing to give up hope yet. The father appeared stricken. What if they're scared? What if something happened? Tears pooled in his eyes as memories of his children flooded back. It was clear he wanted so badly to be strong, yet the worry washed over him. We'll find them, Tom promised, his grip on Sophie reassuring her and himself. We have to believe. Suddenly, a muffled giggle reached their ears from behind a dumpster. Tom glanced at the others. Could it be? They rushed over, practically tripping over each other in their eagerness. There they were, two little girls, sitting in a pile of fallen leaves, faces smudged with dirt, giggling as if they were in on a wonderful secret. Mommy? One of them called, eyes brightening at the sight of their mother. The father dropped to his knees, relief washing over him like a wave. There you are. He rushed forward, enveloping them in a tight embrace. As the mother caught up, her own tears of relief streamed down her cheeks. I was so scared. I thought I lost you for good. Watching this family reunited turned Tom's heart to mush. It was raw, beautiful, real. But amidst this joy, he felt a twinge of longing. Could they ever find something so profound in their own lives? Just then, Sophie's small voice broke through his thoughts. Can we keep playing? Can we go to the park after? Tom laughed, the tension fading, but the father paused, his face solemn. I don't know if it's safe yet. We should go home and know. Not home. One of the twins interrupted, eyes wide. We want to play. But home is a safe place, the mother tried to reason. Tom exchanged a knowing glance with Sophie. Maybe this wasn't just a rescue mission for them. Maybe it was a chance to talk about what safety truly meant. As the drama unfolded around him, Tom couldn't help but wonder, was running towards something the same as running away? What would they all choose next? And with that question lingering in the air, the group turned toward each other, ready for the next chapter of their tangled lives. The father's embrace tightened around his daughters, and for a moment, everything felt right in the world again. The fear that had gripped him melted away. Tom and Sophie exchanged glances, relief washing over them too, but a new challenge flickered in the back of Tom's mind. How did you end up here? He asked, his curiosity piqued as he stepped closer. It was a question that seemed to hang in the air, waiting for the father to respond. The father pulled back slightly, wiping the wetness from his eyes with the back of his hand. His face was a mix of gratitude and exhaustion. They wanted to explore, he said quietly, glancing back at the girls, who were now wiggling free from his grasp to dart back into the leaves. They just slipped away when I wasn't looking. Sophie's eyes widened. But how can you not see them? You're supposed to keep them safe. The father flinched at her words but nodded slowly. I know. I didn't. I was distracted. It's all on me. Tom stepped in, trying to lighten the mood. Hey, every parent has a moment like that. We just have to remember that kids are pretty good at getting into trouble. The father chuckled weakly. I guess that's true. Rachel caught up to them, breathless from her sprint. I sent a message to the staff. They'll help keep an eye on the playground from now on. She paused, looking at the family. I'm just so glad you found them. As the girls resumed their giggling, the tension sagged around them like a beaten drum. But Tom felt the weight of something unsaid. The father stood there, struggling to balance his joy with the looming shadow of guilt. It was as if he was teetering on a cliff, afraid to take a step toward celebration, lest he slip back into fear. Tom took a deep breath, pushing through his impulse to pull away. "Hey, you know what?" he began, his heart racing. "Maybe this is a sign. You've got to spend more time with them, just exploring and playing together. Build those moments back up." The father's gaze softened, and for the first time, the corners of his mouth pulled upward, revealing a hint of hope. "I used to love doing that, but work just kept getting in the way." Sophie's voice chimed in again. "You could make it a game. Like hide and seek." The father's laughter bubbled forth, and in that moment, Tom saw a flicker of the man he needed to become, a dad who could chase after dreams while still keeping his girls close. It was a blissful image of a possibility, and Tom couldn't resist voicing it. "Yeah. A whole day of fun away from the screens, just you guys being together. Imagine the adventures." The father's eyes sparkled with the 16 shades of possibility. Each color represented a new idea, a new dream, a path shared with his daughters that would build a stronger foundation. "You're right. I'll plan a day. No work, just us." With that promise, even the air around them felt lighter. Sophie beamed, pulling on Tom's hand. "Can we come too?" The father looked between the kids, smiling a warm smile that felt almost radiant. "Of course. The more friends, the better." As they chatted and planned, Tom's heart swelled with a sense of purpose. This day had morphed into something greater than he imagined. What started as a rescue had turned into a calling for connection, for fostering bonds that mattered. But just as laughter filled the air, a dark cloud flickered at the edge of his thoughts. What if he couldn't reset and reshape their own lives? As his hopes soared, so did his doubts. He had to find the balance, a way to embrace connection without losing himself. And as they walked back toward the playground, surrounded by shouts and laughter, Tom felt the sharp turning point beckoning him forward. How could he take the next leap into this new chapter? It was a question that lingered on his mind as they disappeared into the clamor of the park. What journey awaited him when he finally faced the truth of his own life? Tom's mind raced as they moved toward the playground. The sound of laughter echoed around him but felt distant, as if he were stepping through a dream. The father was close now, discussing plans with Sophie about their exciting day ahead, while Rachel stayed by Tom's side, watching with an approving smile. "You're incredible with them, you know that?" she said, nudging him with her elbow. "I could see the spark in that guy's eyes when you talked about spending time with his daughters." "Yeah, but what about me?" Tom replied, a knot forming in his stomach. "I can inspire him, but what do I do when it's my turn?" Rachel's expression shifted, concern replacing her earlier lightheartedness. "What do you mean?" Tom sighed, glancing around at the playground. Children were running, climbing, and swinging free and full of joy. "I mean, I have to figure things out for myself too. I keep thinking I need to be a role model, to make everything okay, but I'm still lost." "Maybe it's not about being perfect," she offered gently. "It's about being real. Kids need to see that you can be vulnerable with them too. They learn by example, right?" Tom looked into Rachel's eyes, seeing her sincerity. Could he open up about his own struggles? "I just don't want to overshadow what's happening here today," he finally said. "This is about them, the girls and their dad, finding their way back to each other. And you're helping make that happen." Rachel paused, watching Tom's internal struggle. "But you also need to take care of yourself. That's just as important." Sophie and the father drew nearer, the little girl bouncing with excitement. "Can we have pizza on our adventure day? And ice cream?" The father laughed, ruffling Sophie's hair. "We can make a whole feast out of it. But promise me one thing, every hour, we'll take a moment to just breathe and enjoy the moment." Tom felt a swell of warmth. That was it. Enjoying every moment. Why hadn't he thought of that before? He had been running on autopilot, so tangled in his own thoughts that he forgot to breathe. "I think that's a brilliant idea," Tom interjected, surprising himself with his own enthusiasm. "Let us all remember to slow down when we can." A faint smile spread across Rachel's face. See? You're already on the right track. But then it hit him a daunting realization. What if he couldn't embody this newfound perspective? What if he slipped back into old habits? The weight of uncertainty gnawed at him. Tom turned to the father, who was talking animatedly about a camping trip he once took with his daughters. It was so refreshing, so different from the lives they all led day to day. You've got a lot of plans, man, Tom said, trying to shake off his doubts. You're ready to dive into this. The father nodded, watching his girls. They're worth every effort. I just need to remember that every moment counts. That was the mantra, wasn't it? Every moment counted. As they moved toward the swings, laughter echoed in layers. For an instant, Tom felt the heaviness lift, replaced by the desire to be present both for the girls and for himself. But that fear, the nagging question of being enough, lingered at the edges of his heart. What if stepping forward meant facing some uncomfortable truths about himself? The thought was uncomfortable and daunting. Yet, wasn't he that part of the adventure? He looked at Sophie and the father, their joy so infectious, and he couldn't help the smile that broke across his face. Let us swing. Sophie shouted, pulling at his arm. Right behind you. He called, as they rushed toward the swings, leaving uncertainty behind for a moment, but deep down, he knew that the real journey was just beginning. What truths would he have to confront as he navigated this path? Perhaps the answers would come, hidden in the laughter of children and the love of a father learning how to be present. The swings creaked and swayed, and Sophie giggled as Tom pushed her higher into the bright blue sky. Each push felt like a little release, an invitation to let go of the weight he had been carrying. The wind kissed his face, and for those moments, he was just a guy having fun, nothing more. Each laugh from Sophie was like music pulling him into the joy of the moment. Push me harder, she squealed, her tiny feet kicking out into the air, determined to reach for the clouds. All right, but hold on tight. Tom said, his laughter echoing as he leaned into it, losing himself in the joy radiating from the tiny girl. All of the doubts and fears felt momentarily extinguished, washed away by the sheer innocence of childhood. The sound of their bright exchanges filled the empty spaces in his heart. Rachel watched from a distance, her smile wide and warm. She loved seeing Tom let go of his worries, even if just for a moment. She approached, leaning against the post of the swing set. You're really good at this, she called out. They're lucky to have you here. Tom shot her a glance, cheeks flushed with a mix of exhilaration and embarrassment. I don't know about that. I'm just trying to keep up with her enthusiasm. Everyone can see it. You're more than just keeping up. You're lighting something inside her. Rachel's voice held a depth that pulled at his heart. Her admiration stoked a small fire of hope within him, and despite himself, he felt a bit more confident. Then, out of nowhere, Sophie jumped off the swing and landed in a not-so-graceful tumble but sprang back to her feet as if nothing happened. What's next? She shouted, eyes sparkling like stars. Tom chuckled, trying to hide the concern that crept in when he saw her tumble. How about a treasure hunt? We can look for hidden gems around the playground. Yes. Treasure. Sophie squealed, her excitement echoing like a bell. Tom turned to Rachel, searching for support. What do you think? Can we pull this off? Count me in. Rachel said, her enthusiasm matching Sophie's. All right, let us form a pirate crew. He raised his arms theatrically, and Sophie cheered, jumping up and down, filling the air with happy energy. As they began their adventure, Tom felt the heaviness in his chest ease just a little more. The treasure hunt started simply. They scoured under benches, behind trees, and around the sandbox, collecting leaves, acorns, and shiny wrappers that glimmered like gold in Sophie's little hands. Look at this one. Sophie exclaimed, holding a bright green leaf like it was the rarest jewel. It's an emerald. Tom laughed, the sound coming from a place deeper than he realized. There was something wonderfully absurd about their quest, and it felt liberating. That's the biggest emerald I've ever seen. Rachel watched them, her heart swelling. It was in moments like this that she saw Tom's potential to be not just a role model, but a real person sharing honest joy and laughter. But as the hunt continued, Tom's thoughts drifted back to the father and the girls he was helping reconnect. He wondered again about his own path, the weight of responsibilities creeping back in. Would he ever find his footing? Would he ever be as present for himself as he wanted to be for Sophie? Just then, Sophie tugged at his sleeve. "Look, I found something under the slide." As they approached, a glint caught Tom's eye. It was an old, slightly tarnished compass. "Whoa! A treasure indeed!" Tom exclaimed, feeling an exhilarating rush of curiosity. Rachel leaned closer, her expression shifting from surprise to something more meaningful. "I think it's telling you something, Tom." Tom held the compass delicately in his hands, pondering its significance. "What direction do you think it'll point us?" "Maybe it's showing you your path," Rachel suggested softly. "Maybe you just need to trust it." His heart raced as a swirl of emotions flooded him: hope, confusion, fear, and the exhilaration of discovery. Was it finally time to face his uncertainties head-on? What path would this compass reveal? With newfound determination, he turned to Sophie, who was bouncing on her heels, oblivious to his deeper thoughts. "Ready for the next part of our adventure?" "Yes. Let us go." Noticing Rachel's steady encouragement, Tom felt that maybe, just maybe, he was ready to embrace whatever came next. But as they forged ahead, the compass in hand, a larger question loomed: would he find the courage to follow where it led? The sun shone brightly the next day, filling the playground with vibrant colors and an infectious energy. Tom stood at the edge, anxiously watching as Sophie played with the twins, their laughter pouring into the sky like music. A swelling sense of hope filled his heart. Just hours ago, he had learned that the father of the twins, who had once seemed like a looming figure of anger and despair, would be joining them for their day of adventure. The possibility of change hung in the air, tantalizingly close. As the father arrived, his face lit up with nervous excitement. He looked different today, less weighted down. Tom noticed how he bent down to the twins, speaking softly with a determination that radiated from his core. Tom's heart fluttered in response. Could this man transform? "Are you ready for a treasure hunt?" Tom's voice cut through the chatter, excitement bubbling within him. Sophie clapped her hands while the twins bounced in place, their big eyes wide with anticipation. "Yay! Treasure!" They echoed in unison. As they set off, Tom led the group, compass in hand, eager to embrace the spirit of exploration. The father fell in step beside him, and their shoulders brushed against each other, a small but significant connection. "I can't believe how joyful they are," he remarked, warmth spreading across his face. "This is what I've missed." Tom nodded, knowing they were treading on new ground. It's all about being present. Cherishing every moment. He turned to the father, hoping to see understanding reflected in his eyes. "You can create more of these times together. You need to stay focused on them." The father's lips curled into a tentative smile, as if the idea of being a better dad was finally breaching the surface of reality. "You're right. I won't let distractions take me away from them." With the treasure hunt underway, the children led the charge, running, laughing, and uncovering hidden jewels beneath slides and bushes. The joy in their voices was contagious, breaking down the walls of worry Tom had built around his heart, yet a part of him kept whispering fears, doubts creeping in like shadows. What if the father couldn't keep his promises? But as Tom glanced at the man kneeling beside his daughters, their bright laughter melting away the past like morning dew, he felt a glimmer of hope flicker within him. Sophie ran up, holding out a stick adorned with leaves, proclaiming it the scepter of adventures. The twins clapped, and laughter erupted once again. "Can I be the queen?" one of them asked. Smiles stretched across their faces, glowing with the innocence of childhood. "Absolutely. Let us crown you." Sophie beamed, placing the stick gently upon the girl's head. Watching them, Tom felt a surge of admiration not just for Sophie's nurturing spirit, but for the father embracing his daughters, rediscovering the value of presence. "See," Tom said to the father, who stood nearby, looking on with pride. "That's what it's about, being here in the now. Creating love from the little things." They continued searching for treasure, little trinkets that grew meaningful with every shared laugh. As the sun sank lower in the sky, painting the horizon with pink and gold, the father finally made a bold move. "Can I talk to you later? I want to be more involved." "I have a plan," he said, voice laced with sincerity. Tom's heart raced. This could be the moment of commitment or just another empty promise. "Sure," he said, holding his breath, willing to meet whatever came next. When their afternoon adventure finally closed, a circle of exhausted but exuberant children collapsed in the grass, faces flushed, and laughter giving way to sleepy grins. Tom watched the twins snuggle into their dad, mirroring Sophie beside him, who laid her head on his shoulder. "Do you think it'll work out?" she murmured. "I hope so, sweetheart," he replied, emotion knotting in his throat. "But hope means nothing without action. We have to keep pushing for those we care about, even if it's scary." As evening settled in, the father approached, ready to talk more openly. "Tom, I don't want tonight to be the end," he started, uncertainty flickering in his eyes. "I want to show them that I can be the dad they deserve. But I need your help." Tom's heart swelled, he saw determination and vulnerability intertwined. "You've got to mean it," he warned, but there was a softness in his voice. "The girls need to see commitment, not just promises. Are you ready to be there for them?" "Yes," the father nodded vigorously, tears glistening in his eyes. "They deserve better. I need to earn their trust back, to create new memories. I want to make it right." Tom took a breath, feeling the weight of the world lift just a little. "You'll have to take it one step at a time. There will be ups and downs, but that's part of it. Let me help you, together we can guide each other." They exchanged a firm handshake, their hands gripping firmly. The moment felt sacred, filled with promise. Just as an unseen clock struck a hopeful note, Tom's doubts began to quiet. The future still remained uncertain, but with every decision made and every moment invested, the path grew clearer. Later that night, with all hearts full and laughter echoing in the backdrop, Tom turned to Sophie and whispered, "This is just the beginning, you know. We're not just rescuing. We're building something." And as the stars began to twinkle in the night sky, Tom felt the warmth of connection enveloping them all like a comforting blanket. Two fathers, their daughters, finding their way on this remarkable journey together. It was all woven in that singular moment, each person gradually discovering their path toward healing, trust, and hope. Together. As the camera's last click captured the scene, Tom realized that this was a chapter that would resonate beyond them, a visual testament to the strength of love, connection, and the unfathomable transformation that comes when we raise each other up. Whatever obstacles lay ahead, they would face them together, heart to heart, as only true families do. You need to subscribe now to not miss the next exclusive stories that inspire. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and keep this journey alive. Comment your reactions and feelings about this transformation. And don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this powerful journey of connection and hope. Show your support for each other. Only true fans understand the importance of lifting one another up.